Hello and welcome to episode number 50 of the Hafey Digital Podcast, a show for creators, makers, and doers, where my goal is to help you make to the max. My name is Ryan Hafey, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about why I've gone back to vlogging. Let's talk about it. Thank you for joining the show. Thank you for being here. If you're new here, my name's Ryan, and I host a podcast every week, all dedicated to things like photography and video, lately FPV, live streaming, podcasting, all that kind of stuff. A lot of it is dedicated to just kind of documenting my process through things, but within that comes me sharing my expertise with all of you, and hopefully you take something away from it. That's something that you're into. Be sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you happen to be watching or listening, and follow me on social media at Ryan Hafey on Instagram and Twitter. And let's have a conversation when this is all said and done. So there goes the intro. This last week was a pretty productive week for me, I must say. I feel like I got a lot done on multiple different fronts. Podcast production project that I'm working on is performing really well, which is really cool. I've also sort of found that the creative spark I've been looking for, I feel like, for a little while here. So, and that's really what the main topic of today is talking about vlogging. Those two things are going hand in hand, and we'll get into those details in a little bit, but, got a few things to talk about in advance of that. First of all, let's talk about some, so I've got some travel coming up. This should be interesting. I haven't traveled since all the lockdowns began back in March. So next week on Wednesday, I leave heading to Texas. And then Thursday evening, I return back home. If you've seen the news lately, you probably know that that this global pandemic we're in is on the rise again. The C word is starting to pick up more and more. And that's a little bit concerning, which makes the thought of traveling a little bit stressful. But it's something that needs to be done. And just kind of given the family situation, obviously I live in my home with my wife and 3 kids. Kids all are schooling from home at the moment. We do have family that lives nearby who is probably more at risk than than some others may be. And we do see them on occasion. So we're going to try to take the necessary precautions to make sure that, let's assume that I got it while I was on this trip. What can be done when I get back to make sure that I don't infect anyone? So we're looking into ways of how I could self-isolate for a few days, and then after that, hopefully go in and take some kind of COVID test, considering making this room my home for a few days. So, get a little mattress topper, and that would actually be perfect. Honestly, if I had to pick one room to spend a few days in, it would be this room, because I've got all my workout equipment. I've got all my computers and my, camera stuff and all that kind of stuff. So if I need to keep myself occupied, this is probably the best room to do it. But I actually travel next week and then again in early December. So it's not going to be easy. But that's what's got to be done to make sure that everybody stays safe. And that's what we're going to do. Did some hiking this past week. I actually went hiking twice. So there's this really awesome trail called the Gold Strike Canyon Trail. It's in a little bit south of here in Boulder City, and it's this amazing trail it's about 2.6 miles in each direction. So you go down and back, and it leads you down to the Colorado River. There's some rock climbing involved, some ropes involved, nothing too crazy intensive, but still requires a little bit of strength and some dexterity, I guess. But yeah, it leads all the way down to the river. There's hot springs that you can actually sit in. When you get down to the river, there's other places you can explore. There's this one place where kind of this tiny little waterfall that's spewing out water that's literally like almost too hot to touch. There's this small cave that goes in maybe about 100 feet deep, and it's within it is a hot spring. It's pitch black inside, and it's humid and hot, and just all these cool little things to explore. The water, when you get to the river, which is right just downstream from the Hoover Dam, the water is crystal clear. I did make the mistake, though, because I always say every fall, I'm like, okay, this hiking season, because you can essentially hike in Las Vegas from fall through spring. And every season I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go hiking a lot this season. And I don't think I didn't hike at all last year. And then the year before that, I think I maybe went once or twice. Not nearly as much as I would like to. But so I went on Thursday with a small group of colleagues, and that was fun. And then I'd promised my 14-year-old daughter that I would take her as well. So then I went 2 days later on Saturday. And, you know, with the hike itself and then all the exploring you kind of do when you get to the river, it's a 6-mile hike, and you're walking through, I mean, you're climbing a lot of rocks, your feet are getting all wet. You know, you're walking through sand for a good portion of it, which can be taxing on the feet. So, yeah, my feet are in a little bit of pain. Not to mention also, just to touch on this briefly, it's kind of gross, but it's also kind of funny. So my heels, my feet just tend to get really dry, and like my heels tend to crack like a lot of people, especially in the winter. And, you know, I'll wear lotion at night. I'll put socks on at night, but sometimes it doesn't help a whole lot. So I had seen this thing called just a foot peel. This is new to me, but I guess this is the thing. And you wear these little booties that have this solution of some kind in there, and you wear it for about 90 minutes, take it off, wash your feet. And then in 3 to 7 days, essentially the top layer of the skin on your feet starts to peel off. And it's starting to happen for me as well. And it's bizarre. It's just like, after a couple days, the skin around the foot almost feels like you're wearing a thin layer of skin, and not like your own skin, because it sort of dries out and starts to get ready to peel off. So now my feet look a little bizarre, and they're starting to peel. But the end goal is hopefully to where I can, you know, get my heels back in check to where there's not, you know, they're not super rough and a bunch of extra skin there. I'm just trying to get my feet back, you know, but I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, so hiking sort of perpetuated that a little bit and sped that process along. I'm just hoping that all the peeling is done by the time I travel, because that could be a bit of a pain walking around with a bunch of skin flaking off of my feet. Anyway, we'll move on from that. By the way, beverage of the day today is just coffee. Just one of those days. A coffee mug with a little smiley face on it. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So those are kind of some of the personal updates, I guess. But the moral of the story when it comes to hiking was maybe it's not the best idea to go hiking twice in 2 days on an intensive trail like that. But, you know, I don't regret it. It was fun. So moving on to some more relevant matters, FPV update. So I have... I haven't done a whole lot with the Cinewhoop. Quick reminder for anyone who hasn't seen this yet. The Cinewhoop that I purchased a little while ago, I very quickly destroyed one of the motors on it, which means I have to learn how to solder. I had to buy a new motor, and I'm having to solder the new motor on, which also means that I had to take the entire thing apart, which means I'm going to have to relearn how to put everything back together. But I did get the soldering iron, and removing a motor I found out is super easy. Just heat up the soldering iron, heat up the existing solder, remove the wire, and then you're good to go. I'm a little bit more concerned. I haven't done it yet, but I'm a little bit more concerned about soldering in the new motor, because I just don't want to. I've never soldered before, so I don't want to obviously do it incorrectly, but I don't want to, you know, overlap the solder between the two, because there's 3 connection points. And I have to assume that if the solder in 2 or more of those connection points touches, that's probably not going to be good. And then, you know, who knows? I'd have to update the whole flight controller, I guess. I don't know. But that's kind of the update there. So in the meantime, I just continue to fly my little mini whoop in the house and and keep working on my reaction time and my throttle control and all that kind of stuff. But if I do end up quarantining in the home next week, because a hotel is another option, but I won't have as much access to my things. But if I do end up quarantining next week in here, I'm just going to bring all the FPV stuff in here and spend some time, I guess, trying to figure out how to put it back together so that hopefully by the time I can leave this room and go get a test, the drone will be all put back together and I can actually get out and fly it, which would be awesome, but we'll have to see. So anyway, moving on from that, let's talk about my change up in content on my main channel. So this is obviously my podcast channel. I do have a main YouTube channel that I've had for a few years at this point. And I'm going to pull it up because I want to make sure I get this right. So on my main channel, and there's a link to it in the description below if you would like to check it out. But I've had, oops, no, that's not me. I'm Hafey Digital. No, why am I, what? I can't type today, apparently. There we go. So I've been experiencing a lot of creative block when it comes to just creating content for my main channel. I've talked about this before, but you know, I've finally figured out a way to at least get content back up, and that's with vlogging, but I'm doing it in a specific way. With the exception of the first of hopefully many vlogs to come, which I posted on Monday, the last video I posted on the channel was 5 months ago. And then, you know, prior to that, it was another month or so before that. So my consistency has not been great when it comes to the channel. And I didn't want to just do tutorials for a couple of different reasons. One, I just don't want to be known as the tutorial guy, or I don't want to sort of pigeonhole myself into that. But also, I feel like, you know, tutorials and all are great, but so many people are doing tutorials, and there's a tutorial. I mean, if there's something that I feel like should be taught and I look around on YouTube and I don't see anyone doing it, I might make a tutorial. I mean, I've done a couple of those. I did one, you know, the podcast studio setup series. There was 3 videos in that series. I thought that went pretty well. One of those videos is actually, all 3 of those videos are performing decently. One of them is doing pretty well as well. Prior to that, I did a video. There was you know, Will Smith is kind of big right now into doing these like video tricks and things like that on Instagram, and he posted a video a while ago of Jada Pinkett Smith doing this kind of thing where she was walking into herself. You can see the video on the channel, but you know, I didn't see anyone doing a tutorial specifically for that, so I thought I could do that, and that was you know, that did okay. But I don't come across those a lot. Either that or I'm just not looking hard enough. I don't know. I'm sure it's a combination of both. But yeah, making tutorials, especially with everything I have going on, creating tutorials is a lot of work because it requires a lot of extra planning. You know, you got to script things out, bullet points, all that type of stuff. There's a lot of different elements that you have to capture for it. You know, if you could be doing screen recordings, B-roll on the side. There's just a lot more that goes into it. And at this particular time with everything that's going on, it's just hard for me to stay consistent with that. And I also feel like too, when you're making tutorials, you know, you kind of have to sit down and almost get them done in one blow. And in this house, at least, just with the kids and the dogs, it's hard to find the time to sit down and record an entire video without changing, or, you know, it being the next day or whatever. It's just hard to get that time in one big block where I can sit down and do that. So for a while, I've been looking for some kind of a solution that would allow me to create content and shoot video on the fly, or when I have a chance to, and then something that I can quickly put together afterwards. that could be entertaining, but also provide value. So one of the challenges that I'm facing currently is, because I've taken so much time off, like literally months from doing any meaningful video making, I feel like I'm quite a bit rusty. And I just don't, I feel like I've sort of lost some of my, making videos is not like riding a bike. You can't just pick it right back up once you put the camera down for a while. It takes some, at least for me, it takes some easing into. So what I've decided to do is to start going back to a vlog format. And the vlog format is essentially, the way that I'm doing it is I'm vlogging, or I'm making it a goal to vlog for at least a little bit every day, Monday through Friday. And then as I go during the week, so I might have some ideas of things that I want to vlog during the week, or that day I might just be like, okay, what am I going to vlog today? It sort of forces me into a creative mindset to think about, what I want to actually share. So, I've got the first vlog up. The second vlog was actually done on Friday evening and uploaded, and it's ready to go tomorrow. So be sure to check that out. Again, a link to my main channel is in the description. But the purpose of these obviously is not just for me to walk around and be like, hey, this is what I'm having for lunch today. Hey, this is whatever. I mean, there'll be some moments like that because that's kind of what a vlog is. But I'm trying to keep things focused on things that, I'm interested in, things that people subscribe to my channel for. So photography, video, FPV, podcasting, streaming, all of those types of things, all those things that I'm interested in. So within each of those vlogs, there's going to be some fun activities. Like in the vlog that's going up on Monday, there's a part in there where I play drone tag with my son, and I'm not going to explain that anymore because you should just watch it because I think it's a pretty funny segment. And then there's another segment where I talk about a photo editing trick that I've begun to use lately. And then another segment where I sort of pose a question about white balance and sort of understanding white balance better, because I don't pretend to know everything. So I ask a question to anyone watching about white balance, and that's kind of how I plan to do things. I want them to be able to all the different segments to kind of be able to flow together. I want to be able to create a story out of everything. And the ultimate goal is to sort of just just evolve it and improve it and grow it over time, and really get good again at working with the camera, locking in exposure, working on my framing, editing, telling a story, doing some creative edits, and working on just trying to increase the flow. And I realize that there's potential that this is going to hurt my channel for a little while. The vlog I posted last week, sitting at 35 views. I've only got 1,540 or so subscribers on the channel. So I'm not expecting a ton of views anyway, but 35 views is not a lot. And I realize that's probably going to be the case for a little while. So, I'm just going to have to kind of take that hit until I can sort of get myself back in the swing of things, because this has been a struggle to try to kind of find that rhythm. Let's see. Just doing a quick status check. Very good. And that's kind of it as far as the vlogging stuff goes. Yeah, I really thought I could talk about this a little bit longer today. Anyway, let's have a little sip of coffee. All right. So, yeah, so next week's vlog should be interesting, as I'm potentially stuck in this room or in a hotel room for a few days. That could either be really detrimental to the vlog, or could make it a lot more interesting. It was just funny. I was joking with my wife, thinking about just the ridiculousness of everything. Not meaning that it's not true. It's definitely, a dangerous virus going around that we should all be safe about and concerned about. But just the fact that we're living in 2020 in a society where we have to do some of these things in order to protect others, like, isolate in our own homes. I made the joke that, I'm going to just be like that dungeon child you see in like horror movies where the mom just disregards them and slides some food under the door every now and then so they can eat. And that's going to be me for 3 days in this room. And hopefully it won't be as miserable as it sort of sounds on the surface. But it's the world we live in right now. And, everyone should consider what needs to be done in order to make sure that others are staying safe. Who knows, I could go on this work trip and come back and be perfectly fine, and there's a good chance that that's possible. But again, just with everything picking up the way it is, you never know. So, want to make sure everybody stays safe and healthy. But anyway, that's why I'm vlogging now, just to kind of get my chops back, really. And I'm having fun with it. I've found a sustainable format, so I'm hoping I can stick with it for a little while. But today is Sunday, and Sundays have turned into busy days for me lately. So with that, I'm not going to try to stretch this out any more than I need to. I'm going to go ahead and call this one done. But if you're still here watching with me and you enjoyed what you saw, I would appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button wherever you happen to be watching or listening. And be sure to follow me on social media at Ryan Hafey on Instagram and Twitter. After this is over, feel free to shoot me a DM, ask me some questions. I'm happy to answer them. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and call this one done. So keep on creating, making, and doing, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.